Humans can survive for up to 3 weeks without food, but without water, the body begins to shut down in just 3 days. Because that timeline is so short, securing a water supply is the single biggest source of anxiety for people starting to prepare for emergencies. That anxiety often pushes people to panic buy expensive tactical gear that they don't actually need. Over the next 5 minutes, you will learn how to calculate your family's exact 3-day water requirement, select the right physical containers, and build a backup purification plan using cheap items you already have in your house. Getting your water plan sorted is the very first step in moving out of a state of helpless panic and into a state of calm, calculated control. The official guideline from FEMA and the CDC is simple. You need to store 1 gallon of water per person per day. That specific volume breaks down into 2 halves. Half a gallon is strictly for drinking, and the other half is required for basic sanitation and hygiene to prevent illness. For a short-term, localized crisis, like a severe storm or a sudden power outage, the absolute minimum baseline is a 3-day supply. The baseline is 1 gallon per person for 3 days. But we adjust for reality, adding volume for pets, hot climates, or medical needs. A standard household of 4 requires 12 gallons. A dog adds 1.5 gallons, bringing the absolute minimum target to 13.5 gallons. Pinning down a specific, mathematically proven number for your household stops the psychological trap of endlessly hoarding supplies without knowing when to stop. You don't need to acquire all 13.5 gallons today. The lowest stress way to build this stash is to add a few 1-gallon jugs to your cart during your routine grocery trips. When you buy water, pay close attention to the packaging. Reusing old milk jugs is the most common mistake beginners make when storing water cheaply. The thin plastic used for milk jugs breaks down quickly over time. They eventually crack and leak, and milk proteins left inside are notorious for rapid bacterial growth. Stick to thick, commercial food-grade water jugs. Once you have the right containers, store them in a cool, dark place. Direct sunlight or extreme heat accelerates plastic leaching and encourages algae to grow inside the bottle. This flowchart illustrates the first-in, first-out method. You cycle out the oldest jugs to water your plants or fill your pet's bowl, and you place your newly purchased water at the back of the line. For your water to remain viable, you must combine total volume with deliberate container integrity and a systematic rotation cycle. There is a persistent myth that your tap water becomes instantly toxic the moment the power goes out. That isn't true. Our backup plan is strictly for situations where the water supply experiences biological contamination. If your local authorities issue an advisory or an outage stretches past your initial 3-day stash, you need a secondary layer of defense to treat whatever water you can find. Bringing water to a rolling boil for at least 1 minute is the most reliable method for neutralizing biological threats like bacteria and viruses. Without heat, you have 2 grid-down alternatives. Run the water through a basic portable filter or disinfect it using CDC guidelines with unscented household bleach. Having pots, filters, and bleach is a start, but those tools are useless if you don't understand exactly what threats they can and cannot fix. There is an absolute limit to what you can treat at home. You have to know the difference between a biological threat, like germs, and a chemical threat. If your water source is contaminated by fuel, toxic chemicals, or radioactive material, boiling or filtering it will not make it safe. In fact, boiling chemical-laced water often concentrates the toxins and makes it more dangerous. A yellow advisory means boil to kill germs. A red do not drink alert means chemical contamination, and your DIY tools will not save you. True preparedness requires acknowledging the hard limits of your solutions. You must know when drinking from a compromised source is worse than waiting it out. You've just moved past the vague anxiety that holds most beginners back. You now understand how to calculate your baseline, store it correctly, and treat biological threats. Your homework is simple. Calculate your household's specific water number right now, and physically write that exact number down on your grocery list. During your very next trip to the store, buy your first 3 gallons. That simple action initiates your plan. To continue building out the rest of your system, click the link in the description and download our free 72-hour readiness checklist. Survival is rarely about retreating to an expensive, apocalyptic bunker. It's about executing simple, proactive plans in your own home.